Hi everyone, welcome back to the Coding and Analysis YouTube channel. And in the previous video we did the XGBoost with cross-validation, and then we tried to find the best boosting model, the best iteration for the lowest validation MAE. So I'll just walk through. So the model performs a 5-fold cross-validation, training up to the 150 boosting rounds or trees. And after each round, it computes the mean absolute error across all fields. If the MAE doesn't improve for 10 consecutive rounds, training stops early to avoid overfitting. And then it's going to find the boosting round with the lowest average test MAE across the fields, which is right here. And then that's the optimal number of trees to avoid overfitting. So once our model determines that, and then it's going to retrain a final model on all the available data, not just the folds. And then it's going to uses the best number of rounds found from the cross-validation for the max generalization to predict 2025 fantasy points for all players at those positions. So it's using that best number of rounds for the retraining of the final model on all the available data. So you can see here, you can see at 61 rounds, 55 rounds, 18 rounds for the positions. So the early stopping phase, so it stops at 61 rounds, 55 rounds, 18 rounds, and 38, 37, 50. So this is the average MAE across the validation folds used to find the best number of trees or best number of rounds. So this includes the validation error only, not the full data error. So that's why the R2 score, the MAE score, is going to be different down here compared to up here. The values are typically higher because the model is trained on 80% and evaluated on 20% in each fold. So that's why these MAE values are higher. So when we do the final evaluation metrics or post training on the full data, like we did up here, so training the final model, all the data in the best number of rounds or best number of trees that was determined by the model. So these come after training on 100% of the data using the optimal number of rounds. Predictions are in sample. That's why the MAE is lower, and the high R2 and low MAE are expected because the model sees all the data. So we just have to remember that the cross-validation is the use case for the cross-validation is select the optimal tree count, and then the use case for the final mean absolute error in R2 is reporting the fantasy point predictions. So just to sum it up, we're using this CV-MAE to prevent overfitting during the training, and training all our data afterwards for best final predictions, and evaluating reporting with the transparent metrics right here. So that's why these scores are going to be better than this score, because it's training on 100% of the data. I was just training on 100% of the data using the best number of rounds, the best number of trees determined through this cross-validation process. So if we look at the residuals and the color palette, the plotting, seaborn scatter plot, bringing in our data frame right here, and the X-line and the Y-axis, X-axis and Y-axis, and then the U with the fantasy positions, and then the palette, which is this Python dictionary up here. So once we get the labels and the title and we display the R2 and the MAE, you can see here that the scores are a lot more in line with closer to the diagonal line. And you can see the R2 is close to 1. The MAE is only off by 16.75 points. So it's giving us a more optimistic outlook compared to the cross-validation. And if we look at the our predictions right here, the value difference. So our model minus ESPN's model, you can see here that so at ESPN they had 0 for Keishon Butte, while our model had 95, which I feel like they should at least give him something like 50 points or 60 points. I mean, he's got to be on New England, so they should at least give him some points. I'm not sure why they just had him as 0. So I think our model might be more, looks better. And then we have Russell Wilson. So ESPN only has 120, our model has 197. Daniel Jones, 108 and 182. And it just all depends how much playing time they got to get. If they're going to be able to play the whole season. And then if you see the top 10 undervalued players, so when we do our most undervalued fantasy football players, at ESPN still has Joe Burrow at 328, and our model still has him at 256. For some reason, they just don't want to push him up to 300. But I guess it's you look at the really it's using the same feature importance as the cross validation up here, so it's using the rushing touchdowns 2023 2024 as more model takes more weight into those, and I guess he doesn't have many rushing touchdowns, so I guess that's why our model is considering him at only 256. And then Travion Henderson, yeah, 151, that seems reasonable. And then Travis Hunter, 159, 213. Probably ESPN's model might be closer, maybe around 200 would probably be a good estimate for him. We can see, so ESPN's model has Jaden Daniels at 366, and our model has him at 318. And then Caleb Johnson, running back for the Steelers, 217, 175. But that's only up by 41 points. So let's look at the CSV file. So you can see here finally Christian McCaffrey. He's our model has him up to 300 compared to I think the cross validation had him at 158 or 159, and now after the boosting rounds and finding the best number of trees and training on all the data, we finally get a accurate portrayal for Christian McCaffrey. So you can see here as we go down the line, that the scores are going to be all pretty similar for the most part to the ESPN's model. Jonathan Taylor, our model has him close to the 290 that the ESPN's model has for Jonathan Taylor. Let's see if Javonte Williams for the Cowboys, 210, 211, so that's pretty close together. Really close together. Only off by like 1 point. And then Bucky Irving, their model both expects him to have a big year. And Tyron Tracy, pretty good year for him, 192, 197. Factoring in our historical stats and health data and projected role data. my model was taken in. And then O'Marion Hampton as a rookie for the Chargers, 226, 239. And then, I think the Brachel Tootin, our model has 156, ESPN has 63. Which, I think there's Travis Etienne Jr. and then Tank Bigsby. So he's really kind of the third string running back, but you never know. He could probably get to close to 100 possibly. And then Caleb Johnson, he's sort of projected to be the starter, which he's probably going to have carries with Jaylen Warren, but 175, that seems like a decent number for him for his projection. And then Cam's Scatterbo, I guess he's going to share his carries with Tyron Tracy, so 150, that seems reasonable. And, if Jordan Mason, if Aaron Jones, he gets hurt, Jordan Mason will just fill in right in. And, as we saw him and Correndo, they both played pretty well for the 49ers before they got injured last year as well. So Trevor Etienne, so he's on the Panthers. So our model is 62, ESPN's model is 21, which it's hard to sort of estimate how these rookies taken in the later rounds will do, because they somebody get hurt and they come in and just run great and get a lot of fancy football points. So it's just all based on injuries and if they're prepared to take over on the other players. So we have CeeDee Lamb 304. That's close. Tyreek Hill 251. So that's interesting. Amon St. Brown has him at 285. And ESPN has 290. So when if you were going to take somebody in the first round, would you take Amon-Ra St. Brown or Puka Nacua? And that's really interesting question because just don't know how. I guess Matthew Stafford he's sort of dealing with the injury in training camp, but and then he has Devontae. I don't know. It's kind of just. I'd probably go with Amon-Ra St. Brown, but because then you have Devontae Adams on the Rams as well. So I don't know. I probably lean towards Amon-Ra St. Brown, and we have Jamar Chase. He's going to be the first or second round pick most likely in a PPR draft. 333. ESPN has 353. I think last year he had 400 points. So you never know. You can get around 300 to at least 400 points for Jamar Chase. And then Stephon Diggs, he can remain healthy and 200, 188 or between 188 and 200 seems reasonable if he can remain healthy. And then Nico, hopefully he can remain healthy and get up to play a full season, get up to 270. That would be really nice and helpful for the Texans. I just don't know how JJ McCarthy's going to do. I know Justin Jefferson. I think saw him going in the 4th or 5th pick in a mock draft, but I guess you just gotta have to throw it up there, a deep ball, and he can go catch it for him. But if I was gonna draft Justin Jefferson and is the 4th or 5th pick, I sort of need to see how JJ McCarthy's progressing in training camp. See if he's getting rave reviews or getting some concern reports before I consider drafting Justin Jefferson. Then Marvin Harrison, see if he can have take a big leap in his sophomore season in the NFL. If he get to closer to 240 or 220 between that, that'd be a good season for him. And then see if Keenan Allen get picked up by a team. See if he can contribute, maybe get close, at least get to 100 fantasy football points. And then we'll have to see if Brandon Ayuk can get back. Injury and Garrett Wilson, 240. That's a good estimate, 240 for Garrett Wilson, especially with Justin Fields as his quarterback. I mean, and Malik Neighbors, he'll be a first round pick, most likely. So 270, 300. So at the end of the season, I'm going to put the results in the spreadsheet and analyze to see which model predicted the best one, whether if it was CBS's model or ESPN's model or our full training model or our XG boost regressor model or XG boost cross validation plus finding the best boosting tree rounds. So I'm gonna do that now. I'll make a video of that. Look at the analysis when the season ends. But Lad McConkey, that'd be a good pick. If someone wanted to pick him up, because Mike, not quite sure who's, Quentin Johnson. He's the other wide receiver. So we'll see if Lad McConkey can have a breakthrough and get to 260 or 250. That might be a good fourth round pick or something. Maybe even third round pick. I don't know. Maybe fourth round pick. We'll have to see. And then Xavier Worthy. I just have to see if he can do a breakthrough as well. He was very speedy. Oh wow, Brian Thomas predicted fantasy points 270. So both models have him at 270. That's good. And Xavier Worthy, we'll see if he can utilize his speed to be like a Tyreek Hill type of wide receiver and get. I guess if you're drafting him, I guess you would draft him as a flex player and probably hopefully he would get to 250 points. Just plays past people, but we just kind of have to see how the offensive line holds up with Kansas City since they didn't do so well in Super Bowl. And let's look at a rookie. See if there's any rookies. Mason Taylor, he's the tight end. The 147 to 129. So that's within reason. That's reasonable. Then Jaden Higgins for the Texans, 159, 166. If he could get to 150, that would be a good season for Jaden Higgins for sure. Deucer Burden. Our model is more optimistic compared to ESPN's model, but if he could get to 147, that would be really good. And then Jack Beck, I think he's on the Raiders, so that might be a little too high for him. Maybe ESPN's model might be more accurate. You get to 120. But then let's look at the quarterbacks quickly. Josh Allen. So it looks like the top three quarterbacks, our model just at the boosting round, it kind of just stopped at 325. So even though ESPN has his 365, so probably that's out of all these results, everything looks pretty good, pretty close, and in line with ESPN, and our models are not too far apart, except probably for these three quarterbacks, Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, and Lamar Jackson. So yeah, I would really probably think like 350 for these guys. So not really too far off, but if I would draft Josh Allen and he only got 325, I would sort of be disappointed because you're drafting these guys in the third pick or maybe even a late second round pick. So, and I know Lamar Jackson, I think he had 400 points last season. So you're really drafting them to get close to 400 points. These top quarterbacks, not 325. That'd sort of be, probably, I guess, be disappointing if they only got to 325. But let's hope if you draft them in those second or third round, they get close to the ESPN's model. But then the other quarterbacks are all pretty in line with each other. But the models, they're close together, like Kyler Murray. That'd be a good season if he was able to get 300 points. Jaden Daniels, 318. I still also kind of, I don't know, maybe 330, 340 would be for draft capital that you're going to have to draft for him. I would be expecting at least up to that. So he's ESPN. ESPN has, I guess they have him scoring more than these guys. That's interesting. Yeah, Jaden Daniels 366. And Lamar Jackson, which is 362. So we'll see if Jaden Daniels can live up to the hype, second year hype. And then the other quarterbacks, so they're really not too far off. So like the mid tier quarterbacks are within range of our models. ESPN, not too far off. But then the top tier quarterbacks our model is more cautious using this best boosting round. They're taking the top tier quarterbacks as being more cautious, while ESPN's is being optimistic amount. And I know CBS's model, they were very optimistic. So I don't know what model they were using to get their 450 for Lamar Jackson, but that just seemed wildly off. But between if these top quarterbacks can get 350, between 350 and 400, that'd be a good season. And if Joe Burrow, so I guess that's the only thing I see with this CVS in this cross validation model, finding the best boosting number around is the top tier quarterbacks are on their cautious modeling lower compared to the ESPN's model and CBS's model for that matter. But we have Sam Darnold. He's going to be for the Seahawks, so 250, that'd be a good season. Aaron Rodgers, 250, and Michael Penix, if both of those had 250, that would be considered, all these quarterbacks got to 250, that would probably be a good season for them. And then Bo Nix, that might be a good pickup if you wanted to pick up Bo Nix, because the other quarterbacks are going to fly off the draft board early on, and you wanted to get him maybe in a couple rounds later. That would be a decent move. So really looking at the results, everything looks pretty on point except for the top tier quarterbacks, which our model is giving more cautious, while the ESPN is providing more optimism. But everything else looks pretty close, pretty on line. That's all good. So that'll be the end of this this video, and I'll show a spreadsheet of all the models that I put together, and just look at show a difference. Show the differences between the models. So I'll do that in the next video. So thanks for watching. See you on the next video.